The forecast called for heavy rain for a few hours. Nothing out of the ordinary. The kind of storm that happens every year. On the first day, everything felt like nothing more than an inconvenience. The rain came down hard from late afternoon on, thick and constant, muffling the sounds of the city. The sky never brightened between thunderclaps. The power went out early. The radio still worked, repeating generic alerts, always with the same phrase, "Stay inside." It was possible to hear water pooling in the streets, rising through the storm drains. Still, there was the sense that, at some point, it would pass. It didn't. During the night, the thunder began to sound wrong. It wasn't coming from above. It came from every direction at once. The ground vibrated slightly, as if something were moving beneath the city. At times, the sound felt too rhythmic to be natural. When morning came, the sky was still dark. There was no wind. Only rain. On the second day, the storm stopped feeling like a weather event and started feeling like a presence. The water didn't just flow downward. It appeared in impossible places, dripping from a dry ceiling, running down interior walls, forming puddles where there were no leaks. The radio stayed on, even without power. The same voice. The same warning. But now there were pauses that lasted too long between sentences, as if something were deciding what to say. In the afternoon, sounds began to come from the roof. They weren't clear footsteps, and they weren't animals. It sounded like something heavy being dragged slowly, stopping every time a lightning flash lit up the sky. Each flash revealed shadows that didn't match the shape of the house. The most disturbing thing was the silence between the thunder. When it stopped for a few seconds, it was possible to hear something breathing along with the rain. On the third day, the storm seemed tired, but not weaker. The sky hung too low. It felt like it was pressing everything downward. The radio changed. The voice no longer gave full warnings. It just repeated, "Don't go outside." Always in the same tone. Always sounding uncomfortably close. That was when marks began to appear on nearby rooftops. Deep, parallel scratches, as if something had rested there for a long time. The water suddenly started to recede, too fast, as if it were being pulled somewhere. When the rain finally stopped, there was no rainbow. There was no sun. The city was too intact. Closed houses. Clean streets. No signs of destruction consistent with 3 days of continuous storm. But many places were empty. To this day, when heavy rain begins, the radio turns on by itself. And the message has never changed. Partial transcription of a recording found on a portable voice recorder, recovered after flooding in a rural area. The wind doesn't stop. It's not like normal wind. It stops, waits, and then comes back stronger. It always comes back stronger, as if it's calculating. I've sealed everything. Windows, doors, every crack. Still, it's possible to hear something moving outside. It's not branches. The sound is very low. Very heavy. Like something large being pushed through the air, but without resistance. The rain started light, almost calm. Now it sounds like someone is dumping water from an impossible height. The noise doesn't come only from above. It hits the sides of the house too. I can't see anything beyond the fogged glass. The problem isn't the rain. It's the sound between it. Every time the wind stops, it's possible to hear voices mixed with the water. No words are clear, but the intention is. They're not speaking. They're calling. Not from far away. From very close. Like they're just behind the wall, waiting for an answer. I stood still for a while, just listening. The more attention I paid, the clearer it became that the sound didn't always come from the same place. Sometimes it came from the yard. Sometimes from the roof. Sometimes it felt like it was coming from the ground itself. I just looked through the gap under the door. There are marks on the ground. They're not footprints. They're long, uneven grooves, like something was dragged against its will, leaving marks too deep for anything the rain could explain. The power went out hours ago, but the porch light still flickers when lightning strikes. It flickers before the thunder, even though it's switched off. That doesn't make sense. No light does that. It feels like it's responding to something else. The wind changed again. Now it doesn't hit the walls. It slides along them, slowly, like it's searching for a better opening. The sound is on the roof now. It's not someone walking. There's no rhythm to it. It's like something is settling in, dragging its weight, stopping, then shifting slightly. Always between lightning flashes, like it knows when it won't be seen. The rain weakened for a few seconds, just long enough to hear breathing mixed with the wind. It's not steady. It's irregular, like it isn't used to breathing. If someone finds this, don't stay near windows during storms like this. It's not curiosity. It's an invitation. The wind learns fast. It learns the shape of the house. It learns the sounds. It learns where people usually stay. Heavy interference. There's someone knocking outside, but the sound comes from inside the wall. It's not loud banging. It's persistent, like something is testing the space from within, pushing carefully. The walls are vibrating, but not from the wind, from something moving between them. Like the house is hollow and something is using that now. The wind stopped. The rain stopped. Everything stopped at the same time. That's worse, because now it's possible to hear clearly. There's nothing left to cover the sound. Something is moving slowly on the roof, choosing where to stay. The silence doesn't feel like the end of the storm. It feels like when it holds its breath. End of recording. Update, 11:47 p.m. A large-scale storm has struck the region since early evening, causing rapid flooding, widespread power outages, and the complete blockage of access roads. Rescue teams report difficulty advancing due to the intensity of the rain, the irregular strength of the winds, and extremely low visibility. Monitoring systems indicate rainfall volumes far above expected levels, with no significant movement of the storm's core. Residents report strange noises during periods of stronger gusts, described as heavy movement, and metallic sounds coming from the air. Some reports indicate that the noises seem to follow the intervals between lightning strikes rather than the peaks of the wind. Update, 12:26 a.m. Power supply remains unstable throughout the region. Technicians state that there is no structural damage consistent with the duration of the storm, yet service restoration has proven impossible due to ongoing weather conditions. Reports received by the newsroom mention unusual marks on rooftops and flooded streets, described as deep grooves that do not correspond to vehicles or debris. Update, 1:12 a.m. Communications have begun to fail intermittently. Telephone lines and internet signals are experiencing simultaneous outages. The Meteorological Service states that the storm does not exhibit characteristics typical of known systems and remains stationary over the region for an indefinite period. Satellite images show the formation remaining concentrated, with no visible dissipation, despite momentary reductions in rainfall in adjacent areas. There are unconfirmed reports of individuals leaving their homes during the early morning hours after hearing calls coming from outside, despite zero visibility. Authorities emphasize that there is no official guidance for evacuation. Update, 1:48 a.m. Emergency teams report difficulty accessing certain streets that, according to maps, should be passable. There are mentions of entire neighborhoods without lighting, yet with no visible signs of destruction. Update, 2:03 a.m. The newsroom received audio files sent by residents before the total loss of signal. In several of them, it is possible to hear something beyond wind and rain. The sounds present repetitive patterns and regular intervals, incompatible with known natural phenomena. The content is still under analysis. Some recordings capture moments of absolute silence between gusts, followed by sounds of heavy movement extremely close to the microphones. Emergency teams recommend that no one leave their homes under any circumstances. Update: 2:19 a.m. Attempts to contact local authorities have been unsuccessful. The regional emergency system remains offline. Update: 2:19 a.m. Update: 2:19